Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Good evening. Welcome to Premier League Forecast. It's me, Chris Brack. It's the Wrexham fan, Luke. It's Euan and it's Joe. Hello, everyone. How are we?
Yeah, all good, mate. You?
Luke,
That's great. And then you said that.
Luke, where's the rest of your face go?
Oh, I decided to have a shave. Just decided to have a shave.
I know. You are still over 18, aren't you? You know, it's
Yes.
Okay, just check.
I turned 25 last Thursday, so I'm halfway to 50.
Unfortunately, I'm a lot closer to that. That's a depressing thing. Thanks for that, Luke. Right. On that happy note, let's start with somebody who's going to be happy. Euan, let's talk about Newcastle and Aston Villa, because quite frankly, me and Luke don't really want to talk about Liverpool because they're shit. So let's just talk about somebody who's actually happy, and then we'll come to Joe, who will tell us about how great Brighton are and they're an FA Cup semi-final. Do you remember those days, Luke?
Oh,
Great,
yeah,
wasn't it?
last season.
It feels a long time ago. So wait, I listen. Last time we spoke, Newcastle were flying anyway, and to be fair, they carried it on. They had probably a bit of a tough spell, not long after played Liverpool, but then carried on again. Sort of, they haven't had the curse of the League Cup final, where sometimes you do see a bit of a dip after that after a final. But to be fair, they just carried on going. I think they're fourth in the form guide, 5 wins, 1 loss. Can't complain, really, can you?
No, genuinely. Every time I come on here, I feel like I'm smiling more and more each time. So I'm going to continue to come on here and hopefully eventually we'll end up top in the next 6-7 years, because it does feel surreal. It feels really surreal. I know, obviously, when we lost the final, a lot of people were very much like devastated. But to be honest, I mean, it was gutting. But at the same time, there was no expectation on us. What we've achieved this season, regardless of where we finish now, because we're probably limited to about 6th, is just brilliant. It's so nice to turn up to a game and know you're going to give people a game. We played Man United off the pitch. We then went to West Ham and didn't get out of second gear and won 5-1. And then Brentford, we started appallingly. It was probably the worst half of football I've seen off us for a while. And yet, second half, Eddie Howe's tweaked it, changed it, gone 2 in midfield, played a 4-2-3-1, and we've steamrolled them second half.
Awesome.
So it's brilliant.
Yeah. And Joe, I mean, they're playing a very, very informed Villa side who actually have who've got a slightly better record, 5 wins, 1 draw. I think they're up to 6th now. You know, Unai Emery, as everyone knows, he's a really good manager. I think it kind of proves a while back that the issue wasn't him; it was probably Arsenal, because I think Arsenal's the only club where he's probably not really worked out at, which does make you think maybe he wasn't given the right time there.
Yeah, he's a great manager, and unfortunately for us, another team that we've got to worry about in the race for Europe. Probably not a team that we expected to emerge from the pack that were chasing below. And I think we've got 2 games in hand on them, though, so I'm not overly worried just about us sort of turning up and doing the business. But whenever it's in Brighton's hands, historically, it's not gone very well. So I'm hoping we're changing the tide this season. But yeah, Villa, their change in form has been fantastic to see.
Good. Luke, how are you seeing this? Someone's described you as a young Elton. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that, but
I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that.
Colin and Deadpool, how are you thinking it's going to go?
I think it's going to be a really, really good game. I think there is a strong possibility for Aston Villa to get Europa Conference League, and you wouldn't put it past Unai Emery to get Europe with Villa and then win the thing next season. So,
it's kind of what he does, really, isn't it? It's kind of what he does, isn't it? Europa League, he loves it, so I'm sure Europa Conference he'll batter that as well.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a really good game. I do think Newcastle are going to have the edge, because I think they found the shooting boots now, which is something that people were criticising Newcastle, especially after the World Cup, that they've just lost their shooting boots. And the fact that Isaac Isaac's come into form now. He's looking really, really good now.
The fact he's fit's probably a good start as well.
Yeah.
But I think because Isaac's fit, I think it's pushed Callum Wilson up a level. Because I think now he knows, well, if I'm not doing the business, I will get dropped. Whereas before, in a nice way, it was Chris Wood. And
it was too comfortable. Way too comfortable.
By the way. What's going on with Anthony Gordon? Like, he got subbed on against Brentford, then he got subbed off. And then
he came on at half time, and to be fair, he was probably one of the biggest positives coming out of that game. Like, he was brilliant. He was tracking his runners, because obviously they like playing on the break, don't they? Brentford, they're like sitting in and hitting long balls up to Tony. He gets the flick on, holds it up, and plays it into the wingers. And that Shard is a very good player, by the way. Very, very good player. But Gordon was so vital, and he got injured, and he was holding his ankle, and Howe was like, you need to get up. They're going to punt a ball in the box here. And he didn't get up quick enough, and Howe thought he was injured. So he's put Matt Ritchie on, and he's pulled him off. And he's seen it as like, why you take me off? And he was like, well, I thought you were injured. So he's thrown a huff. Now, I don't mind him throwing a huff, but it's the way he's reacted to Howe when he's pushed him off. I wasn't really a fan of that. But at the same time, he's young, he's naive, he will learn, because he's got to learn. He can't keep going on like that. He's got a reputation for himself already, hasn't he? So
yeah, probably when he's at Everton, he was always going to be picked. If he was fit, he was picked. I think sometimes I think younger players have to learn when they move to a club that's got more options. You can't rest on your laurels, unfortunately, and that's the way it's going. So in terms of injury-wise, they've got a few out. No Cash, no Kamara, no Bailey, no Coutinho. Who knew Coutinho picks up injuries?
I forgot he still plays for Villa.
I think Villa fans have as well, to be fair. I think they played better since he's been injured. And I think for you guys, the only big miss is St. Max injured again.
Yeah. He's so fast twitch that his hamstrings don't seem to be able to hold up when you're playing.
Do you see him being there next year? Or do you think you might?
So hard. I love Maxi. I love him for what he's done and how he stuck by us.
Big money now. You get rid of him.
He's improved. There's no denying he's improved. He's far more of a team player. He doesn't look like he wants to beat 6 men twice over now. He's playing the right pass at the right time. He's got 2 assists in his last 2 games. Like, he's playing well. The thing is, though, you look at Eddie Howe and what he wants from a player. I'm not sure Maxi is that. Although, if you've got 3 competitions, if we're in Europe, we've got the league, and we've obviously got like the 2 cups, and you take one of them really seriously. There's 3 competitions there. Maxi's so vital, and he draws players to him. He creates so much room for others, and he allows for other players like Murphy, which I said when just before playing Man United, I know Kev laughed when I said Murphy's vital to what we do, because he gives us that balance, and it almost means that we can play a bit more in tandem. We're not reliant on a winger. We can switch the play a lot easier, get Trippier involved. So I think he's vital, but I'm not sure he'll be there. It just depends on what fees you're talking, I think.
Very cool. Joe, what score are you going for this one?
I can't see anything but a Newcastle win, so I'll go 2-0 Newcastle.
Okay. Luke?
I'll go 2-1 Newcastle. I can see Ollie Watkins scoring for Villa. It's been great form.
Cool. I've got 2-2 because that is at Villa Park. Euan, I'm assuming you're going for a Villa win.
No. To be honest, I'm one of the more, I wouldn't say pessimistic, but I always try to be as realistic as possible. I think their momentum's like really going to play in their favour, but at the same time, we're a very good unit now. We don't concede many goals, so I'm going to say 2-0 to us. And I just want to also say that I think this Villa train's getting a little bit, maybe a bit ahead of itself, because they've played more games than everyone else, and their last games have been Forest, who at the bottom, Leicester, who are appalling, Chelsea. Well, we don't need to speak about Chelsea because everyone knows their situation. Bournemouth, again, shocking. West Ham, who they drew against, they didn't beat West Ham. They then played Palace, who had a man sent off, so they won 1-0. And they beat Everton, who are also shocking. They've had a very favoured run of games. So
the sad thing is, I'm going for Liverpool, but we've played them going, lost to them, drew with them, beat Everton, lost to them. So I'm going, based by Liverpool standards, that's a really difficult run, to be honest.
Well, I'm just more thinking momentum.
I know what you mean.
Games in their favour.
It's games they would fancy the chances in. So
yeah, with Emery, he's a brilliant manager. What a tactician! And I think what'll be interesting is they'll play a very deep low block. They'll sit in and they'll look to hit Watkins in the same way that Brentford did last week, and we've got to find the answers to try and break them down. So it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Right, let's move on to the next game while Luke's cat screams in the background. So let's go to Chelsea versus Brighton. Chelsea just got battered by Real Madrid 2-0. Koulibaly's out, injured. Chilwell had a brain fart, got himself sent off, which was a good start. And Brighton, who are 6 in the form, guys, 3 wins, 2 draws, only the 1 loss. I think you're missing Lallana and Lamptey, but other than that, pretty much a full squad. I think Moda is a possibility to come back for you. So
no Colwill either can't play against Chelsea.
That's true.
True.
But all in all, Brighton will go into this favourites because Chelsea, to be honest, they're like our club, Luke. You don't know which Chelsea's going to turn up, and it's Frank Lampard in charge, which is always hilarious.
Just getting that W
Joe,
already.
Come on, let's hear about Brighton, because let's be honest, mate. In the European spots, still with a chance of getting into the top 4. FA Cup semi-final against Man United, who by the time they've got no centre backs, which is a good start. Well, they've got Harry Maguire, but needs must. So it's just the easiest Premier League, isn't it?
I mean, we're plugging away. We're playing unbelievable football still. I think the last few games have been frustrating. I know we got the win against Bournemouth, but the 3-3 draw against Brentford was sort of a 6-pointer, and then both teams ended up with just the 1. And then obviously the absolute shambles at the Spurs Stadium, which I'm sure we're going to speak about later. But nothing happened in that game, did it? No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm looking forward very much to playing an awful Chelsea team tomorrow. I say that we're probably going to lose now. But as you said, they got battered by Real Madrid. And I'm not sitting here comparing Brighton to Real Madrid, but we are playing some fantastic football. And if Chelsea are anywhere near disjointed as they have been in previous games, I really think we're going to absolutely batter them. And I don't want to sit here and be the arrogant fan that's going to go, yeah, we're going to go beat them 4-0. But I think they're playing us at the absolute wrong time. We've already beaten a Frank Lampard team 4-1 this season. I know that's Everton, and maybe you can't compare Everton squad to Chelsea squad.
He's a bit like Roy Hodgson, mate. It's the same blueprint. Doesn't matter.
Exactly. So honestly, I really do think we want a reaction from the Spurs game as well. There's going to be fire in their bellies. Roberto De Zerbi is a man that doesn't let his players forget things very easily. So I think Chelsea are playing us at very much the wrong time.
Will he be on the touchline or is he banned? He does seem to like a bit of a fight with the touchline, which is...
I can't recall whether he is banned or not. I think the club have been fined, and I believe he might be on the touchline. I don't know. I haven't seen anything confirming either way. So...
I think you're right as long as you don't give a middle finger to an official. I think that's normal gets you a ban, isn't it, Luke? As we found out this year, that's what gets you the ban, unfortunately. Euan, Brighton, mate, they've been brilliant this year. But I've unfortunately seen Brighton up close 3 times this year and been played off the park and have to hold your hands up. But at Chelsea, I've never known a side to spend £600 million and get worse. It's
other than Everton.
Well, yeah, it's quite. There's
they were $500 million, but
there's a factor there as well. It's like a Frank Lampard factor. Anyway, but yeah, because look, I seen Liverpool play Chelsea a few weeks ago, and I said at the time at Manila, said Liverpool had a bit of bollocks about them. Said that Chelsea side is actually quite easy to get behind, and this is Liverpool side who have that problem quite a lot. So I just don't quite. Chelsea don't seem the Chelsea I've seen for the last 20 years, which is. They were big, solid, horrible to play against, and you just knew what you were going to get. It didn't matter who the manager was. They all played the same way, and Chelsea was just a horrible game to go to. They now seem to try to make everyone like 5'5", the whole Barcelona diminutive style of something, and it doesn't seem to work for them at all.
No, everyone's got their own DNA, haven't they? I mean, you look at every club, I think there's always one shirt that takes precedent at every club because you've always had that number 9, number 7, that number 10. Yeah. And I don't feel like Chelsea have that. And I say number 9, I don't mean necessarily because it's someone who just takes the game by a scruff of neck, a Lampard, a Drogba, a Diego Costa. They haven't got anyone who'll do it.
They had a horrible number 9. And I mean, it's like when you play Drump, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is going to be a horrible game. Eden Hazard, is either a real skill player or it was like Diego Costa where you're just like, oh, I could do without him today.
Yeah,
you just,
absolutely.
It's one of those players you go, oh no, this is just going to be all one game, isn't it? But it worked. That's why they did it. And I don't know.
I feel like they've got a really soft underbelly. They've almost got used to losing. They don't seem bothered when they.
It's so weird to say that
lose.
about Chelsea though. They're used to losing.
Yeah,
they're used to winning.
The Graham
Those
Potter
players. Had to get it in, Joe.
The Potter Derby. It's the Potter Derby.
For me, when I look at their team individually, all brilliant. You could put those players around the league and they'd all be successful in other teams, but they've all lost their fight, their heart. They're just too easy to play against. I remember we started with a front three of Jacob Murphy, Chris Wood, and Miguel Almiron, and we pressed the life out of them. We should not have come away with a win. We were as depleted as it got in terms of numbers, and we battered them. Then they're a nothing team at the minute, and I do genuinely believe that Bowley is the downfall of Chelsea as this top three, top four. He has not got a clue. He's done this amortization across the contracts, and they've just given Enzo another year deal. He's there till 2032.
And they've closed that loophole this summer, haven't they? So you can't.
Yeah.
So nobody else can do it. But
a new extension as well, I think.
Yeah. The talk is though, I think they've got until the end of June to recoup. I think it's close to 200 million.
There's going to be a big fire
to balance the books. This is why when you see the likes of Mason Mount, if he was linked away, and they say, "Oh, Chelsea wants 70 million," I don't think they can afford to hold out for 70 million. Whereas last summer they go, "We'll wait till the last game. Wait till the last day of the summer. Somebody will be desperate and we'll buy it, or we'll pay the silly fee." Whereas they're going like, "We've got a hard deadline of we need to get X amount of people out to balance the books, or we're going to be the next FA tribunal club."
You're absolutely right. I mean, you look at
money as well, so it's not like you can get, hey, there's a club that wants you. They're going to go, how much they're paying me? Now I'm on 300 grand here. I fancy staying put. And that's the way it's going to be. Chelsea are going to find it really hard to shift those players because no one's going to pay the transfer fees and no one's going to pay their wages because they're all inflated wages.
The only thing I think will help. The thing that help Chelsea is I think some of the players they will look to move on and Mason Mount, Hudson-Odoi, a Loftus-Cheek,
Gallagher.
But Gallagher, they're all British. They're all homegrown. And our club have got
never come to Liverpool then.
Quite a few clubs have got that whole homegrown issue of like, do you know what? We actually probably do need a few more English lads on the side to fill a quota. So they might actually find it quite easy to sell a couple of English lads. I just don't think they'll get the fees I think they want. I think that's where they're going to have to be a little bit more realistic, which might mean a big boy might have to go.
They've inflated the transfer market to their detriment. They've done it so much so that it's ruined them. It's ruined them. Like you look,
Levi Colwell, I think I saw 25 million for him. I think it's been linked.
Yeah, there's a few linked with him. Yeah, so Ashley L saying apparently Liverpool are going to sign Gallagher and Mount. So there's two sorted. Mount, I don't mind. Gallagher, I don't know. I don't think he's right. I think for Gallagher, he needs like a good. Actually, we are in mid-table side this year, but actually, the way Palace were last year, actually that would have done him good staying at Palace for another 2 years, and then look for his kick-on move. I just feel like he's not playing enough football to help his career, really, unfortunately. So come on then, Euan. What score are you seeing for this one?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Brighton will batter them. Joe, I think you're right. You'll play them off the park, and they haven't got anyone who's going to cause you trouble the other way either. So I reckon maybe 3-1, and that's generous.
Luke,
I'm going to go. Chelsea can't score so it's going to be 3-0. Euan Ferguson to get on the score sheet.
I've got 2-1 Brighton as well. Joe,
I'm going to go for a repeat of the Graham Potter massacre. I'm going to say 4-1 Brighton.
Oh, good. Nothing. That'll cheer my day up that well. Right, let's do some quick fire rounds. These ones will just fire scores out because, to be honest, they're all really quite boring. Southampton against Palace. Euan?
Palace win 2-0.
2-0. Luke?
Palace winning 4-0. Palace under Roy Hodgson. So that was a whole other ball game. 4-0 Palace.
Joe?
Southampton winning 10-0. Yeah. No. I think.
You always forget there's that little head drip between you.
Yeah, sorry. Palace will win, unfortunately. 2-0 Palace.
I've gone 1-1 because you all forget about the Roy Hodgson algorithm, which is win, draw, loss, and the algorithm continues. Doesn't matter which club he's at.
Hey,
It's
Roy,
always the
as soon as he's
algorithm.
gone back to Palace, he's gone, you know what? I'm not going to defend. Elise, Eze, you do your thing. We'll worry about defending. You just play your game.
He's also actually picked players that have not fell out with the manager, which also helps. Normally a good start, isn't it? Spurs against Bournemouth. Joe?
VAR 3, Bournemouth 0. Sorry.
I'll
Spurs
set
2.
him up, Joe. You knock him down. It's all right.
Spurs 2, Bournemouth 0.
Euan?
No, I'm going the same, unfortunately.
Luke?
Go 1-1.
I'll go 2-1 Spurs and Harry Kane to get somebody else sent off. Wolves versus Brentford. Luke?
Brentford 1-0.
Okay. Euan?
Brentford 3-1. They're a good side.
Joe?
Brentford 1-0.
I've got 2-1 Wolves. Because surprisingly, Wolves are in better form than Brentford, which threw me when I was actually doing for once research. I know it's a red editing week, but I actually did some research once. Right, the game nobody cares about. Man City versus Leicester. I've gone 4-0 City at half time, and then fuck knows what happens after that. Euan?
I'm going to be nice because Jack, obviously my partner in Talking Ballacks, is a Leicester fan. So I'm going to say 1-0 City. I'm not going to say which one.
Yeah, I'd say I bet that shows a contrast at times.
Oh God, yeah. Bless him. I do feel for him this season. Every message I get off him,
Tom
just
Terry is the assistant manager.
And Craig Shakespeare's back at Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
Luke, what have you got for this one?
6-0 Manchester City. Haaland hat-trick.
Oh.
Sorry, Jack.
Joe?
Yeah, 5-0 City. Leicester, not Leicester, Manchester City.
Yeah.
Gosh, that could have been bad.
That was brilliant if that happened. Right. Sunday game, West Ham at home to Arsenal. I've got 3 on Arsenal because West Ham will have all their eggs in the Europa Conference basket for next week. Euan?
Yeah, I think it could be quite a big one this one. I'm going to go 4-1
Luke?
to Arsenal.
I'm going to go 1-0 Arsenal.
Joe?
It's going to be tight.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be 2-2. I reckon West Ham could prove a banana skin for Arsenal.
Interesting.
Just to be different.
I'll stick with you, Joe. Forest against Man United.
1-0 Forest.
Oh, you nicked my scoreline.
So Luke's got 1-0 Forest. Euan?
Forest are hard to play at home. They've only been
know.
beaten a couple of times by the top. Well, yeah, I didn't really want to mention it, but
That's going to keep them in the league.
I was delighted to get a win there. I'm going to say draw. I'm going to go 1-1, please.
I had 1-1 as well. Partly because United will want to overturn the.
They're going to have no Varane, no Martinez. So that's Maguire and then Loff at the back.
And Rashford.
Oh, what a shame.
And Rashford's still out, isn't he? Yeah. So
yeah.
What a shame. Never mind. Right. So I've also got this written down the agenda, and I don't really know where to go with this because Joe's already bubbling over this. So I was under orders from Kev, so Kev set me up lovely to talk about VAR, flying elbows, and the joys of officiating.
WrestleMania was last month, you know.
What's that? Sorry.
WrestleMania was a few weeks ago.
It was a great elbow. But apparently, it's a natural reaction when someone grabs your wrist to, instead of pulling your arm away, you fling it back. That's a natural reaction, but you know, it is what it is. So VAR, it's the thing that pisses everyone off, winds everyone up. I'll be upfront. I don't mind the idea of VAR. I don't mind the idea of technology helping you with goal line stuff, offsides, looking at things. It works in other sports. But you need to have people who are not inept, who, you literally show them 6 replays on a screen of someone, as I saw with the Arsenal game. I saw Mo Salah get rock bottomed down, and they go, "Oh, that's fine." You're like, "Oh, okay, interesting." But then they'll spend forever to find someone's a millimetre offside. Now listen, offside's offside. So if you're off by a millimetre or 2 yards, you're off. But it's the sheer inconsistency, which I think winds everyone up. And some decisions, which will come to Joe, because I can see he's bubbling for it. He's just like, you don't even need a replay to know that's wrong. And there's no accountability for it.
Can I just go back to your offside thing as well? I know this is I know it's black and white in a way, but even then, you're getting blurred images of someone's foot being this big. And the ball, when it's contacting the ball, it's not necessarily the first impact. It needs the the AI one that's used in the Champions League.
Oh,
where they've got the
one that had the World Cup, the semi.
You don't feel like
at least with that one,
that's less
with the wall.
Go on.
The thing is, the wall that they're showing, Richard Keys and Andy Gray were showing that 20 years ago, drawing a wall. I mean, obviously they did it at half time, but you were like, you could draw the wall and go, that part of his body's offside. There you go. And you go, all right, fair enough. You can see it. So I think that'd help. But yeah, it's just the time. But it's just some of the obvious decisions that are missed. And then some of the very nitpicky ones that are given, which is just bizarre.
I've got copious notes here. And I actually put it in my group chat. And I asked them as well what they thought, because we've got a few Liverpool fans, we've got a few Newcastle fans, a few Man United fans. I've spoken to a couple of Leeds fans as well. And I think the biggest thing that came from it is the whole clear and obvious thing. Sometimes they slow down a replay and watch it, like the one against Brentford for us, where Isaacs apparently kicked Rico Henry. Now, whether he has or hasn't, it shouldn't take you 3 minutes to look at that and go, well, that's a clear and obvious error. Either it is or it isn't. So I feel like they need to start putting a time limit on it. They need to start saying, if we can't make a decision within the first 20 seconds and a maximum of 10 replays, let's say, and we can't tell, stay with the decision on field. Because if you look at the Brighton one, which I'm sure Joe will do way more talking about.
Which one?
Well, I was going to... the one that really annoyed me was the Mitoma one. Because you don't even need to watch the replay more than twice to even... Because you might look at it and go, well, that's obvious. And then you watch it again, you go, well, yeah. So... For me, it's the fact that they're taking so long on dubious calls that people will probably go, well, if it's given, it's given. If it's not, it's not. But then they don't get the blatant ones. So
I think that's what it was there for. It was there for... The idea was it was there for the howlers, the absolute howlers. And we've seen loads of them over the years. You know, we've all been on the receiving end. We've all benefited from the howler. But you go like, oh, you shouldn't get away with that one. Some of the little nitpicky ones is just... Yeah,
I'd like to hear the referees speaking to each other as well. What are they talking about?
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They would expose themselves the second they get mic'd up. The second they mic themselves up.
Is that not the transparency everybody needs to stop this whole corruption? Doubting.
I think that'll
loyalties.
come in. I think that'll come in because I think if you're a TV company, you're paying billions and billions of pounds to show this. You want to make sure the product you're showing is correct. So do you know what? If you can actually hear it, and in other sports, whether it's rugby, I mean, I'm a big cricket fan.
Stop players swearing at the refs.
It's actually part of the experience there. Where if there's a decision in cricket, right, if someone's bowled at LBW, there's actually everyone knows the set pattern now to do. Right, is it foot behind the line? Yes, it is. Go. Has he hit it? 2 replays. No, he's not hit it. Right, goes to Hawkeye, and he just goes green, green, green. Yeah, he's out. Change the decision, and the official just turn around and just does the signal, says VAR out, and they show it on screen, and everyone go, well, if you like it or not, you go, there it is. And rugby do the same thing. Has he grounded it? Yeah, he has. Yeah, I think he's grounded it. You can give the try. Now then, people might watch the replays going, no, he hasn't. You've got that miles wrong. But everyone's heard what he said, and I think that's for a TV audience. You can give that. Where they've got to improve it, I always think, is in grounds. Because I've been in grounds where you don't know. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what you're checking. It's just that
because the grounds have screens apart from Anfield and Old Trafford. Everyone's got screens.
They need to probably do the NFL thing, where in the NFL they can control the tannoy, where the official just comes on and goes VAR check, 15 foul on 11, checking now. Come back on, VAR complete, not foul, or VAR complete.
They've done that at St James's a couple of times recently, and then, when we've been on telly.
Yeah, whether you agree with it or not,
and it makes a difference.
But whether you agree with it or not, you can go, well, there's no dispute. So even if Joe's like, he still got it massively wrong, there's none of this conspiracy theory of why they're not giving it. Gone. He's looked at it and said no penalty. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you can go back and then kick off and look at the replay and disagree with it. But I don't know. I was thinking
consistency as well, though. Consistency. Yeah. Like you look at. So I'm thinking about the Man United Sabitzer studs on, I can't remember who it was, but someone's knee against Leicester. Do you remember?
Yeah. Oh, it was.
Now, I don't know how they can look at that and go, well, I don't think that's a red card, yet they'll give no penalty for being trod on in the box and stopping, like impeding someone so much so that they fall over. How can you? I know it's not consistency in terms of the same incident, but anyone who watches football and takes an interest in football can easily say, well, even someone who doesn't would go, well, that's a bit rough. That's a bit over the ball, studs. Whereas in the box, they didn't even seem to be bothered with it. They weren't even fussed. They didn't even send it with the monitor. Nothing. It's the consistency as well. There's so many issues, and it didn't seem like this in the Champions League or the World Cup. So it says a lot about the referees we've got.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in some Champions League games. I can remember Porto where they were looking at a potential handball against Trent, and I saw the replay on my phone, and it was in two replays. You're going, well, it's not handball because it has hit his hand, but he's not even looking at the ball. He's not made himself big. It's just his hand. It's a corner. It took 5.5 minutes to find the answer out, and you're sort of going, "Fucking hell, come on, lads! I'm gonna get home. Sure, I'm going to work." Paul's asking here, does anyone know if VAR is controversial across Europe? It is, because I think the classic one this year was the Juventus one. That Juventus score a last-minute winner.
I didn't hear about it, though.
Yeah, score a last-minute winner. A guy celebrates, has a kick-off, so two fellas get sent off for celebrating, taking the shirts off. Then they do the replay, say, no, it's offside, disallow it. And then after the game, they go, oh, yeah, he drew the line off the wrong person. Actually, he was onside. It should have counted. So it
should have been another angle, shouldn't there?
Yeah, it does happen. I think in Holland they tend to try a few different things. So Holland have done they don't do the two lines for offside. It's like one line, but that sounds like a wider line, so it gives you the benefit of doubt for level, which has been a bit more better. But again, that's still controversial because like how big do you make the line before you go? It's not. I think issues, but
I'll let Joe do a little bit of talking after this because I feel like I've spoke quite a lot. But just for some incidents that stand out, do you remember the foul on Chelsea's goalkeeper when West Ham scored at the start of the season?
Yeah.
Where I think it was Mendy's rushed out and got caught as the lads got the shot off, and then they've put it into an empty net and they've given a free kick. How can anyone watch that and go, well, that's foul on the goalkeeper? Romero pulling Cucurella's hair and not getting anything for that. Like, if you see someone pull someone's hair in a replay, how is that not violent conduct? The Højbjerg fouls, how many yellow cards should he have had last weekend? He should have had about 4 or 5 yellow cards. On a totting up process alone, he should have had a red card, let alone the rough couple that he probably got away with. And then, just because I'm a Newcastle fan, I'll mention the one that I was actually at the game for, was Willock against Palace. We drew 0-0. And Willock's been ran into by Mitchell, and the ball's hit Willock and gone in, and they've given a foul against Willock. When if it's not a goal, it should have been a penalty, and they still couldn't come to the right decision. And then you've got Elliot Anderson's against Forest, when the lad has played the ball, deliberately played the ball, and then the other lad's played the ball, and it ends up at Isaac's feet. He whips the ball into the back post, and they're looking at the replay for 2-3 minutes, and they still can't come to the right decision. According to the rules, it's not even like a grey area. It's the rules. It's crazy. So go on, Joe, take the floor.
I mean, you guys are pretty much nailed on with what you've been saying. About the technology side of VAR, what I don't understand is that we're probably the richest league in the world, and we're probably the richest sport in the world in football as a whole. And you look at these other sports, rugby, tennis, cricket, and they've got such unbelievable technology that show you clear as day why the referee has come to that decision. Again, as you say, Chris, maybe whether you agree with it or not sometimes is a question, but that's maybe just your understanding on the game. But you've got it there in black and white why the decision hasn't been given. I don't understand why in football we haven't caught up with that. I know that coming in with automated offside calls, semi-automated offside calls, that's a step in the right direction. And you're right, Euan, we have to hear what the referees are saying, because that just gives the transparency that the fans are screaming for. I think you made the point, Luke, about the players swearing and how players act towards the referees. It would increase that respect. There's so many leafs from other sports books that football could take and make it so much better. And I just don't understand why we're so far behind. We got another PGMOL apology on Monday or Sunday, whenever it was. for one of the decisions at the Spurs game, which was the Matoma penalty. The clearest one of the lot, definitely, but we should have had maybe 2 other penalty shouts in there as well. There were 2 hands on Lewis Dunk from, I think it was Romero pulling him back. And you can see Lewis Dunk's shirt pretty much half off his back. And there was also a handball leading up to Heung-min Son's goal in Spurs' penalty area. Longley pretty much punches the ball away from the Brighton player. And I don't understand why we're getting one apology. For one, the apology changes nothing. We're sat here with 0. We're sat here with 0 points. What's an apology going to do? Does that add something? Does that add extra tax at the end of the year? I don't know. Someone tell me. If it does, then great. Absolutely. If it is converted into points, I think we win the league, because I think we've had about 3 apologies this season, and I think we're up there with Wolves. I think they've had the same amount.
I think we've had 1 this year. I think
we've had 1.
Yeah.
But that's bad, isn't it?
We've just,
if you've not had 1, you should not try, are you?
Why are they being apologised? They have to take accountability, and I'm sure you guys know more than me, Chris and Luke, about the elbow situation.
Oh no, it's fine. It's all cracking. Don't worry about it.
But we saw Mitrovic 2-3 weeks ago get banned for 8 games for touching an official.
Bruno Fernandes touched the official.
I was going to say Fernandes, though.
Exactly.
Nada, nothing.
But the official gets away with it.
The only thing I would say with the Bruno Fernandes one, and listen, this is very rare me defending, sticking up for your eyes, but if you actually watch Bruno Fernandes, he says the official puts his arm out and says, like, go in. And that's when he goes, oh, fuck off, mate. I'm not interested. It's not aggressive, it's petulant. So I didn't expect to get a ban. I didn't expect Robson to get a ban, because he's no matter what the Henry Winsters of the world and Paul Hayward, is he? It's just a bit of a wet wipe the way he was going on. You think Robson had rock bottomed in the way he was going on. His hand touched his hand. Oh my God! Doesn't mean you swing your elbow back. I generally think the official just lost his head for a minute, and do you know what? For all I know, Robson could have been shouting in his ear all game how shit he is as a Lions. Let's be honest, a lot of footballers do shout that. I think he just lost his head for 2 minutes. Look, Robson apparently spoke to him. Robson's happy with the apology. They leave it at that. That's kind of what I expected. I did think worst case scenario for the official is he might have just got a ban for 2-3 games. And look, you're off for 3 weeks, suspended, then you're back in, because you're not going to sack him. Because otherwise, if that's the case, you'd sack a lot of footballers because you can't do it. But it's trying to get the balance right. I get why they're saying the official, because my daughter plays football, and I'll be honest, some of the shite year parents shouts at young officials is ridiculous. So it's got to get the balance right. Because in other sports, it is a bit more balanced, but I think they've possibly gone to a bit too much of an extreme, which is annoying me a little bit. But we are where we are.
You was talking about the Juventus decision about I think it was you that talked about the drawing the wrong line to the wrong player.
Yeah, the camera didn't show the whole pitch, so there was a guy stood next to the nearest corner flag, and it didn't register on the VAR because the camera wasn't showing the right angle. So according to the first angle, he was miles off. But then when you actually look at the camera that's further back, there's a lad nigh on the line playing everybody on. Yeah.
In reference to that, we had a similar decision, not quite that bad by any means. We had a similar decision against Crystal Palace where the line was drawn on the wrong man.
Yes, I've got that on my notes, yeah.
That's the apology that really, really irked me, because when it happened, I was so sure that it was drawn on the wrong man. And I was tweeting about it. I was ranting and raving, and people were saying, no, because of the angles, when you look at the angle, it's right in line with the correct player, this, that, and the other. And then when the apology came out and they owned up to the fact that they drawn it on the wrong man, I completely lost my head, because we've spoken about how long it takes them to come to a decision. How have they got that technology in front of them, taking the time that they take with the pictures that they get, and drawing a line which a bloody toddler could do on the furthest back player? I don't understand how they come to that when they take so long. And if we've got people in charge of our game that are that inept, then we've got no hope, because the technology could be the best in the world. It could be absolutely state of the art, no problems with it. But if you've got absolute idiots operating it, what's the point in having the technology?
I also do think sometimes we do have to look at, this does sound conspiracy theory sounds, is which officials are at which games. Because it's a running joke with Liverpool fans, and it is a running joke that every referee gets from Greater Manchester, which is hilarious. They've got no connection to anything like that. You do question that sometimes. But there are certain officials where, I mean, Kev said, don't expect to see that linesman at Anfield anytime soon. I wouldn't expect to see him. But the referee that is there, it's well known him and Klopp have had massive fallouts in the past. So sometimes I think you leave yourself open then to trouble. You know, I remember Mark Clattenburg didn't do Goodison games and Derby for a long time because he'd given some penalties for Liverpool, which, you know, if you're Evertonian, they say they're absolutely controversial. If you ask me, they were fine. But, you know, so they took him away from the derby to say like, we don't want that suspicion that, you know, people think he's slightly biased in the derby, so take him away from a few seasons. They don't even do stuff like that now. You know,
the can you remember the Man United one where Rashford has pretty much ran alongside the ball
offside
on the offside one, this is where this is another point I was going to make. I feel like you need someone who's maybe played the game, or someone who's from like almost like a player's point of view. I know we're not players, but you ask anybody if he's interfering, he is. There's no denying he is. He's absolutely interfering. He's run alongside the ball and stopped anyone 180 degrees getting near that ball without getting past him. And as soon as he gets near the box, Edison, if you watch Edison, he's watching Rashford all the way. And Fernandes just comes in and bends it in at the far corner. And it's not questioned. But I do wonder if that's at Bournemouth.
But a week later, the same incident happened and they gave it offside.
That's what I'm saying. So I wonder if that's at Bournemouth against Man United, let's say, and I know I feel like I'm hammering Man United here. It's not what I'm trying to do, but I think that's a he's interfering. Let's play on. I don't even think it's questioned. I feel like some officials are like rabbits in the headlights.
Yeah, and Michael Murphy points out
they can't handle it.
Michael Murphy points out the Saka offside where Liverpool, I think Martinelli scores the second right on half time. They didn't have an angle to prove he was onside and offside, and then TV at half time went, he's offside. You can see that they didn't even draw lines. They just froze it. Went, there he is. He looks a yard off before he even gets the lines, and he's sort of going, how's the TV getting this and we can't? You know, because that's the thing I always find baffling. They say like, we can't find an angle. Like, how many cameras are in these stadiums? You can't find an angle. You're joking, yeah. So I mean, to be fair, that's not the reason Liverpool lost that game, because they were fucking dog turd as well. So but I know what you mean. There's been enough for them where they say that I can't find the angle, which is just very, very frustrating.
Especially the amount of camera angles that are available. The fact that they can't find it is sort of convenient.
Yeah, it feels that way, doesn't it? Yeah, right. Let's stop talking about VAR because it's depressed everyone. Joe's head's about to explode, and you know I want him to come back on the show at some point. So, right, let's all have a laugh. Let's talk about Leeds and Liverpool. So, you look forward to this one. So Liverpool.
Sorry, this is my time to leave, is it?
Yeah. So Liverpool last week, absolutely walloped for 30 minutes by Arsenal. Probably lucky it was only 2-0. And then to be fair, for the last hour, absolutely battered Arsenal. And thinking, we haven't seen this Liverpool for most of the season, but I think that probably summed Liverpool's whole season up pretty much, which is consistently inconsistent, and you just don't know what you're going to get. So we're going away to Leeds, who are 13th for the form guide. Liverpool, I found out this morning, have not scored an away goal against anybody in the bottom six all season. We have only won 3 away games all season. Madly, the away games we've won, Villa, Newcastle and Tottenham, 3 of the probably toughest away games we've won, and we've lost 8 away from home.
So, yeah.
Are you up for this?
God.
Are you up for this one tonight?
Gracias Watford beat us 3-0 away from home.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, you know where this is heading, don't you?
We haven't scored an away goal against the bottom 6 sides since last season.
Yeah, I know where this is heading. We're going to lose to Leeds, aren't we? We're going to give Leeds some life.
I said to Kev jokingly last week, he said, we'll beat Arsenal 4-0 and said we'll get twatted by Leeds. Why is it? Because that's just what happens. That's just been the way the season's gone.
Because I don't know whether or not the players go, yeah, do you guys want Europa League, Europa Conference League? And they've gone, nah, if it's not Champions League, we don't want it. And they're going, right,
Well,
what position do we need to stay in?
It's
Eighth,
all right.
ninth? Yeah, let's
It's
just
all right
stay
players
there.
saying that because that's how they're thinking. Mugsman will be gone in the summer.
Oh yeah, I'm like if it was me, most of them would be gone, but I'm not the manager. But yeah, but I just got a feeling that
we'll have a chat about the team because in my head there's at least 8 leaving, and 6 of them is because they're out of contract. So it's going to be an interesting one anyway. So Joe, obviously you've seen Liverpool. You quite happily beat Liverpool most weeks, to be fair, because you've done it all season. How are you seeing Liverpool versus Leeds? Because Leeds before the Palace result were actually in quite an upturn in form with the new manager, and then that Palace result was just alarming. Leeds just pretty much gave up.
It's one of those things where you don't know what that's going to do to a Leeds team. You don't know whether that's going to demoralize them or they're going to come out fighting and going to absolutely, take it to Liverpool. And it might be a bad day for you guys, but I think it'll be demoralizing. We're getting towards the end of the season. It's getting to crunch time and the pressure's going to be on and who's going to crack. And I think Leeds will. I genuinely feel Leeds will go down this season. And
we've got something to fight for. We don't. We've got nothing to fight for the rest of the season.
Yeah, true.
I don't know if you speak to Klopp, he wants European football. And to be fair, whether you like it or not, Liverpool should be European football.
Play like that, but they want European football. They are playing like they want to finish the season.
I think I think it's more of they're not physically able. I think that's the problem. I don't think it's a lack of effort. I think some of these aren't physically able to do it.
It's going to have the conversation with them to say, "Hey, I love you, but it's time for you to move on." It's going to have those conversations with some of the players that he loves the most. He's going to have to politely say, "Thanks for the memories. It's time to leave."
I think Ruud Lands, I think he's had that conversation with some of them, and some of them just decided to stay, which is more.
Or just got injured before someone comes in and go, sorry, boss, I just done my Achilles. I'm not going to be playing for a few months. And it's like, oh, for God's sake, just want you to leave.
That's godly. It's like listening to Twitter out loud. This. Sorry, Joe. Carry on.
I think Liverpool will beat Leeds. I don't. Is it at Allen Road?
Yeah.
It'll be tough, but I don't think Leeds have got enough in them to turn it around, and I think they will be demoralised by it. And I think Jurgen Klopp will want a react. Obviously, you guys know the Liverpool team and what you're doing more than me this season, but I do think Liverpool go there and turn Leeds over. Okay. There's a little ounce of positivity for you.
You'll get anywhere else, Euan.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. What I will say is as well, though, Elland Road can be a 12th man, but it can also for Leeds, but it could also be a 12th man for Liverpool as well. When they turn, and Joe, I'm saying this because my mate Carl, he watched the Brighton Leeds game when you played them, and the fans turned on them, and it made your life so much easier against them. So as long as you can frustrate them.
And we still drew.
Yeah, I know, but you battered them. Like in terms of your actual play and stuff, you were all over them. Their fans can turn, and I know I say this without any disrespect to Leeds because St James's has done it in the past. I know not so much now because everything's far more positive, but stadiums can turn very, very easily, especially when they're struggling. And the last home game they had was 1-0 first half, and then they went and shipped 5. They're going to be worried. These fans are going to be tense. They're going to be. It's a hostile place to go, and if they don't have personality in their lineup, people who are going to take responsibility, you could do them 3 or 4. You've got that quality. I know you probably don't see it, but from a neutral point of view, you have players that turn up. If they turn up, you win 3 or 4. But if Leeds put up a good fight, then that's when it tests your character, doesn't it?
Well, I think in 15 away games this year, we've scored 14 goals.
Ooh.
And we've shipped 24.
Why do you think that is? What's different?
I think it's a combination. I think it's confidence. I think at home is easy with a crowd, and I think against the bottom half sides is. I think when we play at Man United, at Arsenal, they play their way, which is to attack you, which suits Liverpool because we can hit them on the break and we can play our game. I think the likes of your Leeds, your Nottingham Forest, they go. They're humble enough to go. We don't want to get battered, so do you know what? We'll sit back and take a draw. break us down. And they've now realised that Liverpool, the way we're playing away from home with no confidence, is there's a Rick in Liverpool. So do you know what? Just hang in, and you'll get a chance, because Liverpool will give you the most big chances in the game. And to do that, I mean, look, some of the games like the Forest away game, we missed 3 sitters. Bournemouth away, Salah missed a penalty.
Are you concerned about Salah? Are you concerned about Salah and Van Dijk? Because they're your main men. They're the lads who stood up and take some responsibility.
I'm not concerned about Salah because I know he's missed back-to-back penalties, which is not ideal. But I mean, he's still on 24 goals for the season. He's still on he's still the most assists of the season. So he's still doing statistically well. Performance-wise, probably not as well as we'd like. Van Dijk he looks tired. To me, I wonder, is it just too much football that's catching up with him? I'm hoping
the injury,
it's a little bit of a summer off, because he's pretty much gone since his knee injury. I don't think he's been rotated enough. But what hasn't helped is both fullbacks have been off form. Kanate's been barely fit this year, and Matip's dropped off a cliff.
He's looked brilliant when I've watched him. Konate, I really rate Konate. I think he's got a big future. And
for me,
it's just keeping it fit.
What's frustrating for you though, if you look at the stats, so there was a stat, and I know this because Botman and Shah are the top 2 in terms of goals conceded. The least amount of goals per game conceded was Shah and Botman. I think it was then Dunk and your back 2, Joe, and then I think it was Arsenal's. And then it was the combination of Gomez and Van Dijk, which obviously takes you back to when Van Dijk first joined.
Yeah.
Is that because they played together? Do you think that's your best 2 at the minute? Because Konate is not consistently fit.
I think Gomez
can't rely on him. Do you need that consistency?
Gomez can't rely on fitness-wise, and Gomez, I think he is ultimately now a 4th choice centre back. That's his position, and he'll cover full, but he can't be. He's too inconsistent, unfortunately. I mean, ironically, this is the thing. As bad as our defence is at the moment, we have the second best defence for home record for home games. I think it's only Man United conceded less goals than us at home.
Yeah.
So it is a mental block away from home. So I think some of it's attitude, some of it's
physically,
tactically
as well. I think tactically, sometimes
I think we've got it wrong. So,
do you think Klopp needs to change? Do you think he needs to adapt? And the reason I say this is because you look at how we were battered. We were awful at Brentford. I genuinely would have taken a draw at half time and snapped your hand off. But we came out and we changed the system. We went to a 4-2-3-1, and I've seen Klopp do that in the past. Because when he goes with like his Firmino and the 10, and that works, but he doesn't seem to want to adjust as much.
Keep flicking around, because I think when we were struggling this season, he did 4-4-2, he did 4-2-4.
And then second we played Napoli, we went back to 4-3-3-1. And I was like, oh, okay, I can stick to this again. And since then, it's been pretty.
Which, to be fair, but we did well against Napoli. So
well against Napoli, yeah. So I think he's changed it a couple of times since then, but he's sort of very stubborn. He likes his way.
Yeah, I get the feeling. I think he'd probably go. I think eventually he's looking to do more of a 4-2-3-1, because I think if you look at the players we've got,
the players that signed,
it's like players signed. If you look at as a number 1 through the middle, Salah can do that, Nunes can do that, Gakpo can do that. In the 3 behind, suits Jota, suits Nunes, suits Gakpo,
suits
probably suits
Diaz.
Probably suits Diaz. Probably suits Jones, because actually when Jones played under 23s football, he played left. He
looks unbelievable for England, but he looks awful for you most of the time.
Yeah, I know.
It's well off the pace. England, he is unbelievable for England.
But he's again not allowed. He's not allowed to can't stay fit. He gets weird injuries. As in, last year he missed 2 months because he detached retina. He clashed heads with someone in training, detached his retina.
Ooh.
He's currently playing with stress fractures in his leg, so he has 4 days training and has to have a medical day off, which came out this week. So he's playing, which I presume that's a growth thing. So it's like, it's not like Matip, he just pulls a muscle every 2 minutes, and that's just what he is. The proper random injuries he gets, and then you're like, what can you do? So I've got
a lot of sympathy for him now. I didn't realise that. That's definitely changed my perception on him, because I thought he was just maybe lost his hunger. But
I think that's stunted his development. I think that's how. Maybe he needs a loan, but unfortunately for Liverpool, we haven't got enough homegrown players, so actually he might have to stay around just to.
I think he's going to stay. I think you need club-grown players, and I think he fits the bill. So as much as fans want to see him move on, he's going to be staying.
Especially with Kelleher's probably going to go in the summer.
Yeah.
Not because Liverpool want to get rid of him. I think he's 24 and I think he wants to play regular football, which, to be fair to him,
He brings in decent money as well, doesn't he?
Bringing decent money. And I think if he gets regular football, he'd probably be Ireland's number one. So that's probably what it was, which is a shame, unfortunately. That's a big side, Luke. You know. So, Luke, the two below have been quite positive about Liverpool. They obviously haven't watched Liverpool very much.
Give me hope. Give me hope.
Okay, let's try and pick an 11. So Alisson was a bit of a doubt because he's trained on his own, but I think he's trained normal now. So I assume Alisson's fine.
Yeah.
I assume Trent, Robertson, Van Dijk all keep the positions. I'm assuming Konate, as long as he trained today, will play. There was a slight doubt about it, but talk was he was ill rather than injured. I think the front three will be Salah, Gakpo, and Nunes. I think Jota sits this one out. Midfield, I think one of Henderson or Fabinho will play because they've done 3 games back to back. I think you've got to rotate one of them out. Though we have had a big gap between the Arsenal game. Is this the game you throw Thiago back in? Because he's not playing.
If he's trained, then I don't know.
Because you could go Thiago, Fabinho, and then the other one could be either Jones or Elliott. I think Henderson will probably get a rest, but then I don't know. It's
apart from the Cater's fit.
No, don't be stupid. He's pulled his sock or something, hasn't he? You know?
Or maybe he could go 4-2-3-1 and have Bobby start do a little farewell tour.
Yeah, I sort of feel he's want to go put 3 in midfield because you're away from home. I think you want to try and go. I think you try and go for more solid, which is why I think he might stick with Jones for his height, and then play Thiago. Because I think if you put Thiago and Elliott, it's too diminutive then.
Yeah, but you can still play a 4-2-3-1 with that midfield.
Kept saying it's 8 days since our last game, so there's no need to rest anyone. I think it's sports science.
I'll go Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago.
Okay.
And then, like, if the game's going in our favour, then sub them off, rather than needing to call on them to come on when we're not getting the result.
No, but I suppose we saw what the benefit of the Arsenal game is when we got it to 1-1, bring in a Thiago on for the last half hour to control the ball a bit better, which gives us another dimension. Laszlo saying go Ali, Trent, Van Dijk, Konate, Robbo, Fabinho, Elliott, Thiago, Bobby, Nunes, Salah.
Big game for Elliott if he plays. Back where Randy got his big injury last season.
Because the last 2 games, only 2 games, he's not featured in. Because before that, he's featured in every game apart from the last 2. Yeah. I do think the last 2 games has just been more resting him. So, Red Steve said he agrees with Luke's little brother. So I assume that's you. What score are you going, Luke?
You know what? The boys below give me hope, so I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool.
Oh, that's what I had as well. Sorry. We'll go 3-1 Liverpool then. Salah,
not to take a penalty. We get a penalty.
Salah 2, Gakpo 1, Salah to bang a penalty, and then to take his shirts off and say "fuck off, Luke." That's what he thinks. we know he watches. He's a big fan. He's definitely t-shirt now. Cool. I forgot to mention we are sponsored by bookmakers.com. I realised really bad host. I forgot to mention the sponsor. It's a good start. I was on their show this week. Sorry, so we are sponsored by bookmakers.com. All the details are in the description below. The bookmakers website that'll help you find best odds. Grand National this weekend, so probably good time to have a look. But if betting's not your thing, don't worry. Still check the website out. They've got loads of footy stats, loads of other sports stats, and they do have a YouTube channel which I was on with Gav and a Tottenham fan where we talked about the title running, where I think Gav had Arsenal win it by a point, the Tottenham fan had City win it by a point, and I had City win it by 4. So we all kept it pretty close. And we all had Brighton as the one who take points of everyone, to be fair, Joe. So keep an eye on them. The other one is keep an eye on our charity, which is for breast cancer awareness. We've got 12 Dublin ladies doing the Dublin Marathon, raising money for breast cancer awareness. They're trying to get to 20,000. So as much as you can, please give. If you can't give, the links are in the description below. Just share it around WhatsApp groups, and cancer fortune such as 1 in 2 people now. So do everything we can to try and help people out. That'd be grand. Euan, where can people find you?
We're Talking Ballacks podcast. We mostly do YouTube and Spotify. They're the 2 best places to find us. We're both teachers, so we've had a little bit of time off. So we should have probably done more, but we've both been so busy, so we're planning on getting it back up and running when we go back after half term.
Good. Joe, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, Albion Obsessed on all social media. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We're doing more sort of YouTube shorts and TikTok type videos at the moment to try and get those views up. Also, Euan, I've just dropped you a follow as well, mate. So there you go. There's
Cheers,
one
mate.
extra for you. But yeah,
Thank you
Albion
very much.
Obsessed across all platforms.
Jolly good.
Can I just ask you, Chris, and you, Luke, about this just quickly? This Bellingham situation, because I'm very intrigued as to what No. I'm not going to mention him. I'm going to say if you could choose 3 midfielders who aren't him,
Not Caicedo.
because there's so many names. Because I know I was going to say, obviously with Joe being here, McAllister's been mentioned. His dad's been mouthing off, which I wouldn't be too happy about. That's a disgrace. Caicedo's obviously kicked up a fuss when Arsenal came in. You've got Nunes, Mateus Nunes, who's been linked. Sorry, Joe. And then you've got you've got loads of names coming in. You've got Corney, you've got Thuram. If you could pick 3, I know it doesn't have to be very long, but I'm interested to see who would your 3 be.
And be careful.
And I know Kev likes Jacob Ramsey as well, which is an interesting one to me.
Luke, shall I go full heel and just say Caicedo, McAllister, Graneras, and just
no, you wouldn't get that.
Go full heel.
I don't know because I've not really thought about it that much because
it's because we don't know who we're going to get, do we? We'll probably deal with bloody Mount Gallagher and.
If we get Mount and Gallagher,
Gallagher's Robbie Savage 2.0. He really is
so annoyed because they would not fix the problem. We'll be in the same place.
I think we get Mount regardless, so I think we'll probably just put Mount as one of them. It was probably
hopefully not for 70 million though.
No,
I'm not paying 70 million.
No, that's outrageous.
I think
it's 35, 40. You're lucky to be getting that. If you're not accepting it, we're off.
It's like when we say it's 15 million for Nat Phillips. We think, well, no one's going to pay it. Yeah. But then if someone offers 10, you go, oh yeah, not
middle it, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Mount will be done. I think the key one's the number 6. So if it's not Caicedo, I don't think it'll be Caicedo because I don't think Caicedo's going until next summer.
Paulinho?
I think it might be the lad from Porto. Gives the U, is it Ugarte?
Ugarte.
Ugarte.
Looks like we're in the hunt for him as well. So he's going to be
Spurs. That's it.
Spurs and Liverpool. So he's up for.
Kev keeps mentioning Thuram as well.
I'll go Thuram.
He's excellent.
That's what makes him out because he's not going to fit well in the midfield 3. He plays his best football out wide, and we don't need another a wide player. So I wouldn't be going near him. But
I think because he'll play either as an 8 and a 4-3-3, or I think we'll do 4-2-3-1. He'll play him on the 3 behind. I think he'd be one of those players who'll annoy half the fan base, but managers seem to love him. And I think just because he fills 2-3 holes, I don't think he's your main man.
He's busy as well. He works hard.
Yeah.
He's coming in as our marquee midfield signing because we've balls up Bellingham. I can see it already. Liverpool's marquee midfield signing.
What makes me laugh is this is where the Bellingham thing doesn't make sense for me. And it's always funny with journalists. They're definitely not getting Bellingham. Okay, cool. We believe that's true then. These are the players they're listed with, which rumours is Klopp said there's a list of 12. But the names I've seen Liverpool listed with are Declan Rice, Caicedo, McAllister. I'm going
50 odd,
100 mil, 50 mil.
Yeah,
Mount 50 mil. I'm going like, well, it's not like we're going for cheap. They're not a cheap.
You say 50 mil for McAllister?
I think
isn't there?
I was going to say
McAllister. The room for McAllister was 70. There's been an agreement.
I think it was
which leg do you want?
But do you know what I mean? It's not cheap. It's not because I'm always like, well, if you want, I say, we really want Caicedo. Well, they probably want 100 million for Caicedo. So if you're willing to pay 100 million for Caicedo, you may as well pay 130 for Bellingham.
Do you think it's positive that Bellingham's maybe looking at signing a new deal with a release clause to keep him there an extra year and potentially you can? I'm not saying you will because you've run pretty badly, but you could maybe go not this summer, next summer.
I think sometimes that's the hope, but
that's the hope. If he was smart and if he really wanted to come to us,
it depends who we bring in. Cause my concern with bringing so many in one summer is it feels very much like when Liverpool sold Luis Suarez and we brought 7 lads in.
Not like we've got.
And I'll be honest, and out of the 7 lads who brought, I think only Lallana actually did anything at the club. Emre Can, not really. So That's where I'm concerned. But again, this could be one of these big boy plays where it's call your bluff.
But this is the wrong club to call your bluff on.
You've said that, Luke, because you said the same about Sancho. But what did they do? They waited a year and they got Sancho. They got Sancho for cheaper than what they originally bid for it. So
you've got to think about it from Dortmund's point of view. If they give him a new deal, they get an elite talent who's currently their captain, who's going to carry them probably through many, many games. They're actually not far off buying at the top of the league at the minute. And then they'd probably think, well, we've also got to replace him. Everyone knows we've got 130 million sat in the bank. If we keep him for an extra year, we let him go for 110. We've gained a lot from it, and we could maybe look at getting someone in before we sell Bellingham. They might go and get someone younger this summer, like a Sukic, who I know you've also been linked to from Salzburg, and bring him in.
The thing with Sukic is he's just tore his knee, so he's out for the whole season. Out for the whole season. So I think if you bring him in, you're bringing a player in off a big knee injury, and I think that scuppers his move. Because I've seen a lot of clubs linked with him, and I do sort of think maybe they're going to give
someone in that mold, I guess. Though, in that mold who could fill that void when he does go. It's better planning from their point of view, because as soon as Sancho went, they had what's the young lad called? The English lad. The young winger.
It was another City kid, wasn't it? I don't know his name. It was another kid from City.
But they've already got him playing. Like, I'm going to have to quickly look at it. But they've already got him playing. So they're quite a well-run club in that sense. So it could work in your favour. It could actually work.
Could do. I sort of feel like I thought, if you believe the Bellingham thing was true, if Liverpool signed the Bellingham, they'd then look at a mid-range midfield. It'd be like 40, 50. And I think the third one will be a bit of a project. It'll either be an old head and you go, he's just there to do a job. I'll let James Ward-Prowse just throwing a name out. Or it's a youngster who you get relatively cheap, and you basically say, you're probably going to play 10 games a season, but in 3 years' time, he's the next ready-made player. Kind of what Liverpool used to try and do, which is try and build up. There's just, as a club, owner, recruitment, manager, they've just left this midfield thing far too long. And look, we all said it in the summer, should have brought at least someone in. Because I said, if you couldn't get Tchouaméni, who's like your elite one, he must have a mid-range target, which, you know what? It wouldn't have been a and like, go for your mid-range target. But again, Kev pointed out, there was an issue of we needed to ship someone out, not for money, for a physical squad place for an overseas player. So again, that was the thing where...
But then you brought in Artemelo, and that's not...
Yeah, that made no sense.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
I think Artemelo only came in because Henderson got injured. That is the only reason. I think Henderson
desperation, fill a body.
Yeah, I think
how much we spent like $4 million on him like throughout the season. He's played like 30 minutes. He will not kick a ball for Liverpool again.
Oh yeah, he's kicked it for 13 minutes.
Klopp's not convinced, is he?
No,
it doesn't sound like.
I don't think it sounded like
it
was
wasn't.
He was like, "What, Arthur? Is that all I'm going to get? What's that? Is take it or leave it?" And he's gone.
Yeah.
What about Rodrigo De Paul? Because there's rumours that Atleti are looking to maybe try and cash in because I think he's 27, but they can't ask for top dollar because
my big issue with him is he's probably not the biggest mobility, and what's the one thing this midfield has is
what's the one thing that
there is much
midfield.
Yeah, they're not very mobile.
Easy to walk through,
which is part of the reason why I'm sorry, Joe. The likes of McAllister's and Caicedo's are linked as well as Bellingham's. It's because not only are they very good players, they're very athletic, and they get around the pitch. Which
they're both rubbish. They're both rubbish.
Be interesting to see who goes down.
They'll fit in Liverpool then.
Be very interesting to see who goes down, because if Liverpool
that could dictate.
Go back to being smart, they'll look about who's going down. If Leicester get relegated, maybe Yuri Tielemans. I'm not.
Oh no.
Sold. I'm not sold on him because I think he's got.
Mate, I think you could do more than Yuri Tielemans.
And
he's so one pace. That's his problem. His technical ability is not in doubt. He's so one pace though, and he's got a fat backside as well. And I know that sounds weird, but he's carrying a caravan. He's carrying a caravan, and as he gets older, I can't see him losing weight. I think he's going to put weight on. He's going to be a chunky little
like Rooney, like he's
31, 32-year-old.
Doesn't look like
he can't do a big arse like Genie could. Genie knew how to use a big arse and make it turn, and you can get the ball off him. He just can't move too, man. So,
but I just think the whole Bellingham thing's a bit embarrassing. Like I have no issue like if he didn't get him, but the fact is that it's been so public, the courting, the flirting with him for 2 years, and the fact is that we
I do think
too
I do
many,
think-
and we were like, we're good for the whole year. We're good.
I do think that this whole being public and all that, I kind of think with these big deals, they're very rarely quiet. Not just Liverpool, any club. You know, when
Haaland and City, Mbappe, Madrid, and the PSG thing.
I think I think when the deals are that big, you can't keep them quiet because somebody talks. Somebody always talks.
Jan Antoviotov said that we've put in the bid in for 84 million, and then
that's
within the hour, every British journalist was like, "No, Liverpool have now just pulled out."
Yeah, so the question is, the way Liverpool work, Liverpool never put a bid in unless they think it's a goer.
Yeah, it's done. It's done. Yeah,
it's done. I mean, they might put it in just to test the water to see if it could be getting a bit cheaper, and then they put a proper bid in. But you don't put a bid in, then you're not sure.
Gravenberch, I'm not too sure on him. Like he's barely kicked a ball for
Bayern. Mobile, but there again, I know that does that not play in your favour with the price thing?
That's what I mean.
You know, that's a project like Chris was saying. That's a good little project there. Young, talented. Was it Ajax Mobile?
A mixture of projects.
Some of our best signings have been probably people that have just the stars fallen a little bit. As in, like 2-3 years ago, you know, Mo Salah, 2-3 years ago. What a signing! Didn't work at Chelsea. Went quite quiet. Did well in Italy, but no one really talks about him. Then you bring him in. You now he's ready. So.
De Bruyne with City did the same thing, didn't he?
Yeah, they did. So
that could work, I think. You know, there's something in there.
Gravenberch could work, but I think you do need. I think they need at least one of those. It's not Bellingham, a big marquee player, but the big challenge for Liverpool is I think most of these players they sign, they've all got to hit the ground running. We actually can't afford them to. 6 months settle
this is why the club have backed themselves into a corner where they can't afford to miss because I think they cannot afford to miss. If we continue next season, the way that we've been playing this season, it's not. Fans will be really unhappy. Like fans are frustrated, unhappy now.
The frustration is, I would probably say, 80-90% of the players we bring in, it works or they actually do what we want them to do. The argument always is we probably always feel at least one short most summers, and we always go to someone thinking we'll probably one like was that. Whereas this summer we went. Well, at least one midfielder, like probably 2.
3 midfielders this summer. We need to let go about
8 or 9. There's a lad at Celta Vigo, Gabri Vega. I don't know if you've heard anything about him, but he's pulling up trees for them, and he's got a €40 million release clause. That's another one that I think Liverpool should be looking at. I'm not sure you've got them on your radar though. It's almost like you're looking for a name as opposed to like a suitable candidate for a role you're looking to fill. And that he'd be perfect. Anyone who's interested, have a look at him because he'll get a move this summer. And I feel like it could be a Premier League team as well. I think he'd be perfect for you.
Laszlo said, Shoemeni, Gravenberch and Mount. Plus...
Shoemeni's not leaving.
Well, depends which paper you believe. Marker is saying that he's pissed everyone off. So, and the talk is Camavinga has actually impressed more. Which, to be fair, Camavinga's brilliant. Plus... Cooper, it's the Dutch fellow, Cooper Main.
Miners, yeah.
Thank you. I can't
Atlanta, yeah.
Atlanta, I've seen because he has been linked with Liverpool in the past, actually.
He's a little bit older, but he's probably not going to cost the earth. So another one that would maybe be quite astute.
Yeah, they just need to tuck their half the ball with that. But again, I don't know who the director of football is because Edwards was brilliant at it. I do think of the last couple of years of Edwards' reign, he got quite poor at shipping players out. Very good to find them. But not getting them out.
He did so well for so long. He set the bar that high, didn't he?
Ward's got involved in. I think he did Nunes, did Gakpo, he did
the Salah deal.
So he's done big deals. I would argue he didn't get the other guys in that we wanted, and he probably didn't.
I'm just still a bit confused why he's just decided 4 months after he's got the main job that he's just decided, I'm dipping. See you later. I'm off.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not he didn't get on with the Klopp, or whether or not they clashed heads, or whether or not he just didn't get on with the owners. I just don't know why he decided that 4 months, I'm not putting up with this.
And he's turned down the Ajax thing now, hasn't he? So is there also sometimes the case of, how can I put this? In the real world, not football, you really want a certain job, the big job. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm trying to do. But then when you get the big job, you realise,
it's not what all it's called.
This isn't what I want to do. Actually, I want to go back to doing what I was doing because that fits in better with my life.
You can imagine if he gets the job and goes, Jurgen, I think it may be time to move on, and then Jurgen goes, yeah, that's not going to happen under my watch. And he's gone, oh, great.
Yeah,
This is how it's going to go.
Yeah, I've heard a lot say that. I said, but guess what? That happens in every club. You don't.
It happens in every job.
Happens in every job. You don't think people go to Pep? I think we should move on. Pep, we should go. Then he goes, no, I'm keeping him. Or no, you're going for him. We don't think that's right. Well, I'm the manager. You're going for him. That happens everywhere. It's just when you're having a shit season, which we are. Some of these things are blown up to be bigger than they are, I think. But
two names, last two. I will shut up soon. Barella, surely that's a good shout.
Nope, it's in an Italian league. Don't like to move out their own
He
country.
He is one of the most complete midfielders there is, though. He could be one of the top 5 midfielders, I think, with the right system and with the right.
Yeah, but I do know what Luke means. There have been many Italians who've come over to the Premier League across.
Lucas Gamacca at West Ham.
Have done really well.
Can't disagree. And the other one is Alan.
Jorginho's probably the latest, probably the best of the lot recently, but
Alan Varela as well at Boca Juniors. I know you've been linked to him. He's young, kind of. I think they won like the South American Champions League, and he was a big part of that.
We should take Brighton's scouting network.
Chelsea have already done that, haven't they? That doesn't work.
Yeah.
We're not having Liverpool and Hove Albion. We've already got Chelsea and Hove Albion.
Well, we do need to find New Southampton, don't we? We used to find a club that we used to raid all the time.
Southampton go down.
I know we're on the south coast, but move along.
Yeah, the difference was though, Southampton was still Celtic. We couldn't afford anything.
Lavia, what about Lavia?
Oh, if Southampton, but I think you'll go back to City because I think City got a buyback.
I think City have a buyback clause.
It doesn't kick in till next summer. It's not this summer. It's next summer.
I just wonder
if you make a move now, you might get him now. He's brilliant, by the way.
I just don't know whether or not that there's a deal in place that will come back for him in 2 years, just to see how it develops.
Which is probably
if they go down, surely he's not going to want to stay there. He's too good for that.
Yeah, you'd have thought.
And they are dead cert. Surely
Chelsea was sniffing around him. Like, as soon as he signed for Southampton, I think Chelsea been like a 50 million.
I know we've spoke to his agent, but I can't see that move happening for us. But I could see it for Liverpool.
But if you
definitely see that.
But I think if you fix some midfielders in, you need to move Matip on and replace him. So you need someone who is pretty much a starting centre back. You need a Kelleher replacement if he goes. And now, the only benefits, in loose word, of being in the Europa League is you could actually just say to Kelleher, you're going to play the Europa League till at least if Liverpool get out of the group stage to certain levels, knockout stages, and you play the League Cup game. There is a run of games we can guarantee you now, which might kick that movement on down the road one more season, which is one less job to do. They probably need to go forward as well with Bobby going. Now, I think the forward's less.
I'd say we did about 7 players in the summer.
If you got rid of Matip though, what about Ndika on a free? There's that one.
Maybe that's the one.
Left-footed centre half. He's athletic. He's quick. He can play. That's a straight swap straight away. They just need to be clever about it, I think.
Yeah, he plays a bit like Lovren, but we all love a wild centre half.
Levi Colville from Chelsea. For 20 million.
Yeah, to be fair, it looks like Chelsea will sell him.
English as well.
Does look like Chelsea are going to sell him. Yeah,
summer's going to be fun regardless. Summer's going to be really, really
I think,
fun.
Liverpool summer's going to be busy. It's going to have to be because literally 6 lads leaving automatically before you even look to anything else. So
if it's not busy, then
chance for a reset though. Chance for a reset might not be a bad thing.
Yeah,
bit of a cleanse. Oxlade, Chamberlain,
If they don't get it right this summer, then it's going to be a bit of a long road, a bit of a long rebuild, and that's when you do worry about pressure on the manager because.
Well, Klopp says he's not walking. Well, I think he said in one of his comments, it's my club. I'm not going to be leaving.
I mean, to be fair, it's very rare a manager walks anyway. Why would you? You're going to pay off if you don't.
FSG will never sack him. They won't sack him.
I can't. That would be so disrespectful.
No way
it needs to be on his terms, doesn't it?
No, and we saw I think it was Sam Miller. He's a business journalist, mentioned something about talk of investment which should be landed in summer. What that looks like.
Singapore apparently was the rumor that they'd invest 33%, which is 1.3 billion, and they'd give the Klopp 250. But we'll see if that's the case. Yeah,
I mean, when numbers are that specific, I'm a bit like, when it's a 1.3 billion pound deal, it's not getting leaked to Twitter.
Liverpool were going to get 250 million in the summer. That was about Christmas time. And then obviously rumours of this, but believe it when I see it. Believe it when
There's
I see
Amrabat
it.
as well, and also it's Bino Gittins, Luke. Bino Gittins is the the winger at Dortmund we were on.
Oh yeah.
Bino Gittins, so that's who we were thinking of, the Sancho replacement.
Cool. Right, listen, on that happy note, I'll let you guys go because it's 20 past 11. So, Joe, thanks for coming on. Well, I'm sure we'll have you on again very soon when you tell us how great Brighton are. Good luck in the FA Cup. Is that next week?
Next Sunday is when we will be
City winning
beating
the
Man
treble.
United. So yeah, huh?
Yeah.
Got City winning the treble.
Hopefully,
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
If anyone's going to do it, it's you, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Euan, thanks for coming on, mate. Always a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Luke, who've Wrexham got this weekend?
No idea.
Please tell me.
Liar.
To be fair, I watched that game. That was
Yeah, I did as well.
Of course you did. You're a Wrexham fan. I expect you to watch
it.
Right, on that happy note, guys. Speak to you all very soon. Thanks for watching. Speak to you later.
Cheers.